I don't know, rigatoni? I'm not sure what who cares? No one called for a pasta type.
It's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
I am Ramona Ramirez, and I am very happy to be here. Hello.
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 Shall we conclude our cruise ship Virgin Cruise advertisement and dig into this episode of Miami?
Yes,
It really was a full tour of all the amenities. So
It was.
got a great look at what's her name? The Resilient Lady or something lame.
The Resilient Lady. That's what she's called.
Okay.
That is what she's called. So yeah, let's get started. We are talking about the Real Housewives of Miami, Season 7, Episode 15, Birthday Blues Cruise.
Oh.
Yeah, we spent a very short part of a scene talking about the birthday, to name it all, whatever. This episode was a real departure from the full-on heaviness. Not heaviness, but just, it feels like the last couple of episodes have been very chock-full, and this one had a few scenes that were definitely not full gut punchers, but gut feelers, like like a therapist would tell you, or like a yoga teacher would tell you, place one of your hearts on your belly and one of your hands on your hearts and take a deep breath. That's kind of what it was.
It was. I mean, the first half was like all fluff, which I was like, great. I'm happy. Everyone's making up and taking 80s aerobics. And then I did find it weird. It's interesting, the title of the episode, which of course I didn't look at, but I did find it curious. Why was it not a bigger deal that somebody, I'm guessing Marisol, told the kitchen to put a whole mathematical equation on a cake, which draws more attention to age 59 than even just the numbers alone? Why did we just breeze by that? Like, oh, the kitchen staff must have done that. No, they didn't. Someone diabolical in this group wanted to humiliate Adriana in that moment. An equation? It's like insult to injury. It's crazy. And we just blew right by it. Whatever.
32 plus 32.
Like times 2 minus 5 or something. Like it was,
you're right. It was absolutely diabolical and unnecessary
and it was not the kitchen
weird.
staff. It was not the
of course
Virgin
not.
Cruise Line's Richard Branson who, I feel like that was Marisol. I feel like Marisol is like a real, I think we're entering her like hardcore exposed as a villain era.
Interesting. I haven't watched the after show yet, which, if anywhere, is going to give us some context on that. Oh, I'll be curious to watch it. I'll watch it later. While I procrastinate editing, I'll probably watch it. JK. I don't have to procrastinate. But yes, or in the reunion, because it was disgusting. And see, I thought it was Julia.
I mean, it could have been any one of them. That's the thing, is it's a true murder mystery. You know how on these shows they always have those like murder mystery evening events? Like this is a real whodunit because anyone could have pulled that shit. But it was rude.
It was rude. It was cruel. Diabolical is the perfect way to describe it.
And Adriana really handled herself well. She was like, well, I hate my age, but I appreciate the gesture. So bring on the dancing boys. Let's go.
And was that a microphone that was gold or like a sugar cone with a blob of, I don't even know. Or not a sugar cone, but a regular ice cream cone.
No, I think they tried to turn a sugar cone into a microphone and it was a big old flop.
It was gross. Yeah. Anyway, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're back on one of the decks of the cruise ship, and Kiki and Julia are sitting in the sun.
Kiki went party last night and she is hung over. I love that. And I'm so sad there weren't cameras there to capture that because I bet Kiki is a good time.
I bet. Agreed.
Late night Kiki would be a blast to hang out with.
Agreed.
And then we cut to Larsa, Marisol, Alexia, Stephanie, and Guerdy taking the 80s VHS aerobics, which again, literally everything they did on this cruise ship, I was like, I would hate everything about being on a cruise ship.
I hated the way Larsa and Stephanie were skipping down the mirrored hall because Stephanie, again, looked like she was completely out of her element by skipping. I guess when you think about Larsa Pippen also skipping, that's also completely surreal. I don't know. I hated it. I hated
They
it.
must have
It was
been
so
drunk
contrived.
from went partying the night before because it
Yeah,
was,
maybe
yes, it
so.
was contrived. Or maybe this was part of their contractual agreement with the resilient lady and Richard Branson to like look like you're having a great time in this like cramped indoor hallway inside a cruise ship. They kept doing all these like beauty shots of the cruise ship like sparkling on the water. And it just gave me, you're the one who told me about it, the fear of big boats thing. Remember when we were walking around like the harbor in San Francisco and I started to like sweat when I looked up and saw the hull of like an actual barge or cruise ship or I don't know what the hell it was, but I started to freak out. Like not full panic attack, but just sweating. And I was like, hey, I'm sweating. I think I'd like to move away.
It's a real phobia. There is a subreddit that I'm in. Again, because like, why would I want to freak myself out? But I guess it's just like getting that weird physiological reaction. There's a subreddit I'm in called Thalassophobia, and it's all about being in the deep, vast parts of the ocean and getting that perspective. Like people that work on the barge ships, someone will take a TikTok of them like jumping in, and you see a tiny, tiny person next to a massive, massive boat, and it is the creepiest feeling. Yesterday, I took the ferry into the city, and a barge came by us, and it is it's just such a creepy feeling. Like I feel it in my calves right now. It's just such a bizarre feeling to be next to something that's that big. And a cruise ship is probably bigger than a barge. You know what? I've seen them in the Embarcadero in San Francisco, and it is so creepy. In fact, I went out of my way to walk down the pier to see a cruise ship that was loading people on it, just so I could get that creeped out feeling of being next to something so
it is.
huge.
It's spooky. It is like being on a roller coaster. It was like thrilling. And also I was like, I'd like this to be over at some point.
It just makes you like want to throw up. Ooh, yeah, my hair just stood up on my arms. How crazy we are as humans. What
is.
We're
Well,
wild. We're
I think
inexplicable.
occasionally we get perspective of how tiny we are. Like my sister was in the Navy and they had to jump off of she was on a guided missile cruiser and they had to jump off just as safety precaution. So if something were to go wrong, they'd had the experience of jumping off a giant boat. And she said she was fine jumping off the boat, but when she landed in the water and submerged and saw how deep the boat went under, that she started to have like a panic attack. And she was like, what? Because suddenly you get the sense that we're only seeing, again, the tip of the iceberg. And underneath is a whole other skyscraper plunging toward what? Nothing. We'll never know. It's deeper than we can ever get to. And fish have like lights biologically built into them down there. Like it's just so, I think occasionally something that big brings into perspective like how small we are. Anyways,
Combining that with being in the ocean, in the water.
ocean, just honestly,
Terrifying.
No, absolutely not.
No problem swimming in waves on a beach that's like, you are in a city beach, not just some random beach I find. I need to be in like a safe ass beach.
I need to see the shore. Like even when we had to, I've talked about it so many times, I should really bring this into therapy, but when we would go sailing with my dad, because he was a sailor and loved to take us out, and it was always miserable because he's also a grumpy person and there's so much to do on a sailboat. So when you're with a grumpy person, when there's a lot to do on the water, it's very stressful. But I was okay if we could see the shore. But in those periods, and even if I knew we were close to shore on either, like it's just terrifying. Suddenly you hear the water just going lap, 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 lap up against your stupid wood vessel. It's like, this is a really bad idea. Whoever invented this was like, well, they were desperate. There weren't airplanes back then. It's fine. But like, the pleasure cruising thing is like not my gig.
Dude, I can fly. I don't care. I'll sit by a window. That is literally, I don't know why I have full faith in commercial airlines.
As they always say, it's safer to be in the air than driving. You're so much more likely to have something horrible happen driving a car just because of frequency of being on the road, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, how did we get from
we both need to go to
VHS 80s
therapy.
aerobics to 100%? I'm literally I just described like 10 new phobias and I need to go.
The lassophobia. It's the lassophobia. Yes. And then there's another fear of things that are huge, like regardless of if you're on land or not. And that one's also real. Cheap thrills, man. Cheap thrills.
Yeah. It's almost like a reverse. Like I get that fear of heights thing where like my knees go weak and I get a little dizzy. It's like the reverse of that, looking up and being like, whoa. Anyways, that's not literally, nobody called for this.
We're done.
Here we go.
Nobody called for this. Right.
So
exactly.
we're in this 80s class, which leads us into this fun photo montage of all of these ladies in the 80s. And Guerdy was like 14 and new to the United States and did not yet speak English. And I thought it was really interesting that in this moment in the episode, she says that with a laugh. She's like, haha, I was new to the United States and I didn't speak English yet. Cut to 30 minutes later. And it's like, it's her deepest trauma. She doesn't go by her birth name because of that era in her life. I was like, holy shit, we really do an amazing job at like masking stuff when we've been carrying it around for 40 years.
Yep.
Alexia was 21 and unknowingly dating a cocaine cowboy. Larsa was obsessed with Bon Jovi. We didn't get a picture of her or Marisol, who claims she worked out back in the 80s, but I don't believe her and I also don't care.
They did flash a quick photo of Marisol in the 80s, but she was wearing a leotard that said the 80s on it. And then underneath was a producer note that said not the 80s. Because obviously you're not going to have a leotard on that says the 80s, like when you're in the 80s, just like the phenomenon of yacht rock wasn't called yacht rock in the time of Steely Dan's height. History lesson, so... it was coined later. Like Marisol, you weren't going to wear something that said the 80s in 1984 in your leotard and leg warmers.
I'm guessing she wouldn't provide them with a picture from the 80s because I bet she hadn't had her nips and tucks in a way that
her
she
face
liked
tweaks.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we didn't see Larsa. And Larsa,
no.
God.
We saw Bon Jovi. I was like, no thanks.
Larsa V.1, Larsa 1.0, I mean.
Totally different girl.
Stunning.
Unrecognizable. Maybe that was her.
Yes. Yeah, and her voice was different, honestly. If none of you have watched the early seasons of Miami, post-haste, y'all. Post-haste.
She's like a bass. And now she talks like this. It's crazy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And then we see Stephanie, who is 4 years old, in diapers because she's such a baby. And her husband was 21 in college, and I gagged because there's a picture of Masood, and he literally looks like a man. And then we see a picture of a baby. And sometimes when you get the glimpse at the age gap in those years, it's like, that's gross.
It's 3 different growth eras, like childhood, teenage years, and then he's an adult. Yeah, it reminded me of when you brought up that, what is it, Floribama Shore? Who had the story? You told it a couple weeks back where the dad was like, listen, you've lived several lifetimes, and she just started.
Oh, yes. No, that was Siesta Key. But
Siesta
yes, close
Key. I'm
enough.
sorry.
Yeah. No, listen, it's all the same vibe.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's true. She went from diapers to meeting Masood at the altar, and he had a whole bunch of life in between. It's very weird. Anyways, they both they talk about their separated group dinners last night, and we all find out that both tables talked about the tension between Lisa and Larsa, and everyone wants them to resolve it. And everyone encourages Larsa to drop the details, to stop fixating on the specifics of what's gotten them to this point, and just find a way to forgive and move forward. Larsa claims she wants that, and I actually believe her, but she's just so dug in on being right rather than being happy.
Agreed.
She makes headway, but like she really has trouble letting go. And I get it. There's parts of me that are like that.
When we get there, it'll be fun to talk about that conversation they had when we get there. Yes. And then we move to Stephanie, Marisol, Alexia, and Guerdy. They come down and join Kiki and Julia on the sun deck.
Stephanie arrives in like a 20-piece Missoni outfit. Is that Missoni, right?
It looked like Missoni to me.
Yeah. And it was like, it was literally 10 pieces. It was like a long sleeve shirt, pants, a cape, a sun hat, a giant bag, like everything. I was like, we get
We
it.
get it, dude.
It's the Gucci tights times 1,000. Calm down, dude.
Yeah, yeah. And then I had a thought, okay, if I have all, no, but she lives in Miami, because I was thinking I wouldn't have an opportunity to wear that up here unless I was to go to a mineral pool spa up in Napa or pack it in an overnight bag to go to Palm Springs or something. Like I would not have an opportunity to wear that here in my real life. And I was thinking, I wonder if that's what her thinking was. But then she lives in Miami. She can do that anywhere. She could do that. You know what about Miami in her circles? You can wear that when you go get a coffee at Starbucks. So you know what? I retract it.
Listen, she's just always in costume, always. There's no difference between like 80s yoga and this look. It's like, this is a girl who's going to the sun deck look. It's like, who are you? I don't know who you are. But we do know who Kiki is because she spreads her legs and puts some sun on her vagina. I love her so much.
I do too. I do too. And then Kiki and Julia talk a bit about Adriana being sad about her birthday coming up. And Julia tells us that Adriana does not want to be celebrated. And yet no one listens to that boundary, as we find out. And Adriana arrives and she's struggling. We can tell she's struggling. She's very quiet. I've been there.
Yeah, she sits down separated from the group, arms crossed, and just pouts. And like, yeah, she's not having it.
No.
But again, let's remind ourselves they're on the ocean. Like, if you're hungover, seasick, and in the midst of birthday blues, like.
And with these ladies,
yeah,
that just are ignoring you, basically. They're talking you out of your feelings or ignoring your boundaries around what's going on.
it's a lot.
It is. It is. Then we join Lisa and Larsa when they have a talk at an outdoor bar. And a couple things. Larsa, I got so pissed. I totally understood. And even if I didn't understand, like, it doesn't seem weird to me. Yes, Lisa ordered a green juice and it looked like a rosé with some ice cubes in it. I understood. That combo did not sound bad to me. Listen, if you're drinking a glass of rosé at a party and there is a plate of crudité next to you, that's not a wild combination. And I know she said she was detoxing, but like when Larsa made that jab, I was thinking to myself, see, I would be real sensitive to someone making that jab at me. I would have to take a minute to tell myself in my mind, they're not picking on you. They're not trying to make you feel stupid. I had a very strong reaction to that. Through the 3 times I watched that scene, Margie, 3 times I watched that scene. And I could understand if Lisa on the inside had a similar feeling. Then, before the conversation starts, a couple episodes back, I talked about my very first therapist, Fran, and how she taught me if I was going to have a scary conversation, she told me, and I've never forgot it, and I've done it ever fucking since. She said, Ramona, let the other person know how you're feeling. If you're feeling scared, say, I'm feeling really scared to bring this up. Hey, I need to have a conversation. I need to talk to you about something really quickly. And I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling really nervous. And she said that it would let the other person know that I was coming from a place from me and not wanting to attack them. Or, it would disarm everybody and hopefully let down my defenses and let the other person know they weren't in danger. This confrontation, I was coming in as much peace and love as I could be at the time. And I've never forgotten it. And Lisa admits to Larsa that she's nervous and has anxiety about this conversation, and I was so fucking proud of her. And the thing that I saw in this conversation, and I would not be surprised if you had the same experience watching it, Lisa was 10 times more vulnerable than Larsa was willing to be, or I wonder if she's even able to get to that level of vulnerability. I don't see that in her. And I was I was proud of Lisa in this scene, like I have been in the last couple episodes.
Lisa has handled herself so well. She handles herself well again later when Alexia tries to come for her. But I think it's so interesting. You just this week reminded me of that conversation with your therapist, Fran, because I was facing a difficult conversation and I was expressing to you like how uncomfortable I was and nervous. And she was like, why don't you just tell him that? And then you told me that story about your therapist and it was so helpful. And I really think that opening exchange shows the difference between someone who's had therapy and is exploring maturity and someone who's not. So I think Larsa was equally as nervous and anxious. And instead of saying, hey, I'm nervous and anxious about this, she was like, stupid drinks. You chose stupid drinks. I don't understand your drink choice. Those are stupid. So that's an expression of her anxiety and nervousness, but it comes off threatening, like you said, and confrontational and defensive already. And it's a really hard opening to a conversation. And I think you're right. Lisa absolutely disarms all of it by saying, I'm nervous and anxious. And it leads her to cry because, like, that's how much she cares about this getting resolved. And she really has to set a lot aside because Larsa kind of, baits her a little bit by saying that, Lisa says it's gone on too long and it's going too far and she doesn't want this to reach a point of no return. And Larsa can't help but dig in with one last detail. She's like, I don't want to get into all of it, but a lot of things you said hurt me to the bone. And one of them in particular was about me calling the paparazzi to shoot Marcus doing cocaine on vacation. But in Larsa's defense, that's the only one she put out there, and she did move by it. And she apologized for speaking poorly of Jody. And I loved Lisa for saying, Jody and I are a pair. That's my boyfriend. So if you fuck with him, you fuck with me, and you got to stop that. And Larsa promises never to talk about him again. And then we end with a cute little, like, Lisa admits that in a moment of pettiness, she did unfollow Marcus and also unfollowed Larsa. But in that moment, she follows Larsa again now. And it's sweet. It's cute. It's great. Like, what could be better? That seemed to go great, right?
I agree. Yes, I
Yeah.
totally agree. I don't know if I have faith that Larsa isn't going to bring something up.
I have none. There's no history to indicate that this would go well at all. But in
Exactly.
the moment, I believed her. And, like, I believe she means it in this moment. I don't know, like you said, if she's capable of following through on this promise, but time will tell.
Totally. So after they have their conversation, they join the others on the sun deck, and everyone is very excited and celebrates their reconciliation. And Kiki brings up the ongoing tension between Stephanie and Alexia. Alexia feels like she gets blamed for everything because it was more Marisol who didn't want to go on the private jet. And Stephanie says they're both alphas, so things escalate quickly, and they'll talk about it privately. Like, Stephanie has to remind us in every way, shape, and form, in every synonym, that she's a girl boss, alpha, girl boss, Rottweiler. Like, okay, again, we get it. Missoni, head to toe, we get it. Alpha dog, head to toe, we get it.
Private
Bruh.
jet. It came up again in this episode, and I was like, shut up.
If you have to scream it from the rooftops every time, again, it just reminds me of, wealth whispers and
Money
and
talks,
money
wealth
talks.
whispers.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, just be
Just
chill.
be it. Just be it.
We'll get it. Yeah. If it's authentic to you, if it's natural to you, we're going to understand. Calm down, dude. She's so insecure. Holy shit. And who isn't? I'm insecure, but, like, I don't overcompensate for it the way she does. And it's so uncomfortable. And it makes me want to put my arms out. Like, no, stay away from me. I don't trust you, dude. I don't trust you.
I
That's
think
what
it's
I'm
hard
saying.
to find something to trust because I swear more than insecurity, it's an identity crisis. I don't think she knows who the hell she is. I really
Yeah.
mean it. I think she went from wearing diapers to walking down the aisle to Masood. So she never had a chance to figure out, what do I like? What do I do? What interests me? So she's trying to attach her identity to, I'm a boss. I'm Masood's wife. I'm the girl with the private jet. I'm the one who has all labels and you can see them when I wear my clothes. Like, it's just, but who, like with Kiki, I want to be around her. Like, I know what she is. I know what I'd be getting. And I think it would be a blast. And honestly, like, same with, like, Alexia, Larsa. I don't know if I'd want to spend as much time with them, but at least I know who they are. With Stephanie, it's so creepy because I have no sense of what she really loves, what really makes her angry. I cannot get a read on her at all. So it's weird. And just saying you're an alpha I don't see that. I honestly
Dude.
don't see that.
Yeah.
Most alphas have friends. And you have only your husband and you've been afraid and avoidant of making girlfriends. So weird.
And your new coworkers. I wonder if Larsa and Stephanie hang out in the off when they're not filming. I don't know. I don't think I could see it.
Hard to picture.
So when Adriana excuses herself to run to the ladies, the others decide they're going to give her a cake and request male strippers at dinner tonight. I don't think the strippers ever came up, did they?
No, they were just the dancing boys,
Oh,
like
got it.
after she wiped the frosting off the cake, like a parade of boys with their shirts unbuttoned came by. But it was not, it was no Magic Mike. Then we're at spa day that Marisol has arranged for them at Redemption Spa.
She rented the whole spa. Well, maybe Bravo did, but
I believe Richard
oh my
Branson
God.
was like, if you want this to
Ramona.
be on your show, here's how this commercial gets made.
Oh my God.
But they did have run of the spa, which looked really fun. And I love Kiki because she immediately does an obstacle course of the 100-degree hot tub into the 50-degree plunge pool. And she's just like skittering around, going to lay on the hot marble. And like, I was like, that's what I would do too. It's a fun playground for middle-aged ladies.
It's so funny when she was in the hot tub, like one of the individual hot tubs, she's like, I feel rich. And I totally get the obstacle course thing. I have this thing, this total fear of lack. And I have to remind myself of this every time it comes up for me. And I've talked about this in therapy so many times. So I don't know what I would classify my upbringing as. Probably middle class. It was, God, I don't want to say it was, I would say middle class. That was the height of my upbringing. So I have this thing still, and when I could label it in 12-step rooms, when I would be working on my 4-step or something, and like what fear is this igniting in me? This is something that a sponsor would say, this is fear of lack. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And here's how it manifested just recently. Oof, can't believe I'm going to admit this. I'm going to admit this right now. We went to a spa when we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. We went up to wine country and we had massages. And then we went to like the spa similar to where they were on the Resilient Lady, the Redemption Spa. And it was based on a Roman bath ritual. And you do all the stations, just like Kiki was running around to. In my mind, I'm like, well, I don't know when we're going to do this again. So when we're going to have an opportunity to go to a spa like this again. So I'm going to do this twice. Josh did it once. He didn't have to go to every station. He was like, I don't want to do that cold thing. Like, why am I going to ruin this vibe with that cold thing? But I did it twice just to like force myself to have the whole experience they intended me to have. And also I was going to get my money's worth. Like, it is insane. And I've told my husband about it so many times. Like, even when I go get a pedicure, I'm like looking for the perfect color as if I can't just go get another one in 3 weeks. But it's like, it's got to be a certain way every time or something's going to happen that's not going to feel good. And I have to remind myself every time, this is not the last pedicure. Look at all the pedicures you've had that you thought were your last. Now you can't keep track of how many you had. Oh God, am I going off about this for too long? It was just interesting. See, this shit brings up real insecurities and thought patterns that I've had in my life. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm done now. I don't want to hear my own voice.
Listen.
For a few minutes.
Well, we can listen to Kiki order a Harvey Wallbanger, which is the grossest cocktail. I don't know if you're familiar. It's this like, I had to go to bartending school when I first moved to New York City so I could work as bartender. Who cares? And Harvey Wallbanger stuck in my head because I had the same reaction. I giggled because it had bang in the title. And I was like, haha, that's hilarious. And then it's the grossest thing I've ever had in my life. It's champagne, orange juice, and Galliano, which is this like herby. It's so fucking gross. It has the effect of carbonated toothpaste and orange juice. I was like, this is disgusting, and anyone who orders this is wrong. So anyways, I felt badly that Kiki got talked into ordering a Harvey Wallbanger.
That sounds disgusting.
Fine. It is disgusting. I don't understand the appeal. I would love for someone to explain it to me. But maybe it's just a cilantro thing. Like, I love cilantro, but other people say it tastes like soap. Maybe Galliano is just like not for me. I don't know.
I thought I thought it was just orange juice and vodka. But there's another word for that, right? Orange juice and vodka?
Screwdriver.
Screwdriver,
Maybe
Jesus.
it is orange juice, vodka, and Galliano. All I know is it's that big, tall bottle of ass. And it ruins everything people put it in.
Fascinating.
In my opinion. Then Adriana arrives, followed by Larsa and Lisa, who show up holding hands, and everyone's so happy. And then Julia massages Larsa's feet, saying that she's got the most famous feet in America in her hands. And Kiki's impressed with her two-hand technique. And we get a really intense sound effect in Kiki's confessional when she, does the gesture of two-handed, whatever. You guys get it. Anyways,
Yep.
Thank you. And then we cut to Adriana and Guerdy talking, setting up like probably the most profound part of this episode. Guerdy reveals that she's going to start individual therapy. And it sounds like this was kind of at Russell's urging more than it was her own interest. But in couples therapy, their couples therapist had suggested, and we saw it on camera, that Guerdy seek an individual therapy, not only for her cancer, PTSD, and trauma, but for old childhood wounds that are disrupting her life today in ways that Russell seems to be bringing to her attention. And I appreciated Guerdy for being open to hearing that feedback, being willing to take action to try to make corrections, even though in her confessional, she says, I don't want to touch this shit. It's going to be messy. I'm going to hate it. I've turned my back on it for years for a reason. But like, as my sponsor in one of my programs says, you're done when you're done and not a minute before. And it sounds like she's done. She's done being tormented by like childhood traumas. And Adriana's so lovely and encourages her to approach the session like it might hold a healing answer to her questions. And I thought that was really beautiful. I was like, what a lovely way to go into therapy. Like, when I think I'm going to have a hard session, I can go in with a question and consider that I might come out with some sort of like loving, supportive, gentle answer.
Absolutely. And then Adriana tells her something that I have been told by multiple therapists. I've read about this in multiple self-help books. It is a practice, like it's called inner child work. Adriana tells Guerdy, go back to seeing yourself as a little girl. Because it's so much easier for us as adults, well, at least for me, to say, gosh, the way I'm talking to myself, would I talk to Leo that way? Absolutely not. So why am I doing that to me? Why am I doing that to myself? Number one. And number two, if I think about my inner child, like having some compassion and acknowledging that it's my responsibility to nurture that inner child. I get to reparent my inner child in any moment that I choose. And it's profound and it can make you okay, I'll speak about myself. It made me really uncomfortable to do that at times. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of like the ACA branch, the Adult Children of Alcoholic branch of Al-Anon, is reparenting, where like maybe you didn't get great ones or ones that were present or ones that had tools or skills to do what they're meant to do. And now you can do it for yourself. And it takes a lot of effort and work. And it does seem like that inner child thing is really what is tipping Guerdy over the edge, because later she talks about in therapy how she looks at her own son, who is 2 years older than she was when her parents drop kicked her into the United States and said, see ya, sucka, for 3 years. And I think that the pain of that, is really profound, and it seems to have become impossible to ignore. And I'm glad she's going to address it. But it does take time to find your way to like loving yourself through that. Like I so related when Guerdy in her therapy is like, I feel like my resentments are so big. Like I might explode the whole planet. So,
Been there.
Yep. And I loved her therapist for being like, we'll walk through that at our next visit. Time's
exactly.
up.
Exactly. So yes, Guerdy says, in response to Adriana telling her to go back and see herself as a little girl, Guerdy says that will be hard. She's avoided it for good reason for a long time, but she's resolved and ready. And I would say that maybe saying avoided, I think a more compassionate way. And again, I had to learn this. Everything I do in my present life as an adult that makes me feel bad, that I self-inflict at this point or carry into my relationships, is a coping skill that's no longer serving me. So she didn't avoid it. This is how she's gotten through till now.
Yeah, it works
It's a
till it
coping
doesn't,
skill.
and
Yes.
she's outgrown it. It's like hearing her talk about the origins of Guerdy and what it's become. that was born from a place of enormous pain. It was
Mm-hmm.
that name is a coping mechanism. And not that she has to change her name, but
Yes.
she's outgrown it. Remember
Yes.
on Vanderpump Rules when Jax went back to Jason for a spell,
Yes.
reclaiming who he really is, except he was insincere and obviously, admittedly, coked out of his goddamn mind. So I don't even know if he knew that he was making a differentiation between Jax and Jason. But there is something, it's not just a name, Like that, it has a lot of history, Guerdy's situation.
And something about, her going to therapy at Russell's urging. And Josh and I have talked about this. And if he was sitting recording with us, he would absolutely agree with what I'm saying right now. There was a time, uh, I don't know how many years ago now, where I looked at him and I said, I cannot do, I had urged him to go to therapy over the years. The more I learned about him, the more he learned about himself. And he made the mistake of linking up with someone that couldn't just let that shit go by. All I've known since 16 years old is go to therapy. And now there are way more options for therapy than there were when I was 16. Talk therapy isn't the only thing. It's the one thing that I've done as a through line and then added other things to it. My point is, I can remember where I was standing, and I had been gently urging him to go. And like, okay. And it got to the point where I looked at him. We were standing right in front of the refrigerator in the kitchen, and I said, I cannot deal with your anxiety anymore. You need to go to fucking therapy. And he started going to fucking therapy. And I'm not saying it was me. He was willing. But for some reason, it had to be said in that voice. Now, would a therapist agree with me in the way that I communicated, in the way I made that final request to him? Probably not. But it's what worked. And he was willing.
Yeah.
He was willing. He would admit that. We've talked about that together. I'll be like, aren't you glad? Aren't you glad? Like, hey, value add. This is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And he is. He is.
Yeah, and I think Guerdy knows she will be too. Like it's at a certain point, yeah, you just reach the end of where like the suffering with the old coping skills is outweighing the benefits it provides. And I have to wait till that balance is severely tipped before I'll actually do anything, because I can actually manage. I'll tolerate some pain along the way, just because change, it's like, well, what is the other alternative? I've never known anything else. So I have to like explore a new alternative, learn how to use it, get comfortable with it, work it into my, so it becomes instinctual. It's like, it's a whole thing. But I love that we're getting to watch Guerdy start the process. And I loved how honest and real that therapy session felt. It didn't feel like a for the cameras Tamara Barney crying, defending PR session. It felt really, I love this cast, man. They'll really go there.
You just mentioned Jax a few seconds ago, and we even saw some of his quote unquote therapy sessions. And I think that might have been when he started calling himself Jason instead of Jax as a result of one or two of the sessions we saw with the therapist that he may or may not have been attracted to. Remember, everyone was speculating.
The Reiki girl?
They would talk off, outside of their appointments. And
He's
anyway.
a sex addict. He's attracted to everything.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Her therapy session felt authentic and genuine. And we've seen other very performative therapy sessions across Bravo franchises.
And I thought that therapist was really good too. In fact, when they were going through the therapy session and the therapist slowed her down to take 2 deep breaths, I don't know if you did, but I did it with them. I was like, it was like really lovely.
I'm going to talk about the pillow that was behind Guerdy when we get to that scene.
Oh, good. I'm not sure I noticed it. I can't wait. Little Easter egg.
I want to get one for myself. Anyway.
Then we meet up with Alexia and Stephanie, who are in the mudroom talking. And this was really interesting. Like, Stephanie admits that she felt hurt and abandoned by Alexia bailing on her private jet trip. Shut up. It was because she thought Alexia was her safe space in the group. And Stephanie didn't jibe with Marisol and Alexia's reasons for bailing. She thought it was bullshit that they said she had too many rules and was too bossy. And again, I love Alexia for interrupting her and saying, well, we do think you're too bossy. And I was like, oh, get it in there. Alexia tells Stephanie that Marisol was mad at Stephanie for going to lunch with Adriana. So it really is high school because it's like, she said Ferris Bueller saw him pass out at 31 Flavors last night. My best friend's boyfriend's girlfriend's cousins. I was like, Jesus Christ, who told what who? Bottom line, we're learning that Marisol is like a bit of a Wizard of Oz here. Like there's a man behind the curtain messing with everyone. And Stephanie wonders if Marisol is the one who really has the problem with her and that it may not, in fact, so much be Alexia. And Alexia kind of confirms this in a confessional saying Marisol doesn't like confrontation, but she's always hard at work behind the scenes, moving information through the group.
Yeah, I guess I didn't see it. I haven't seen it.
Me neither. I've been looking for it, but I haven't. Yeah.
I always felt like her snark was behind the scenes or just to her bestie. Ugh. So Alexia apologizes for hurting Stephanie's feelings by bailing on the private jet. And Stephanie admits she's projecting her relationship with her sisters onto Alexia. I thought it was a real light admission. I don't think you understand. That's a big statement. That's big. That would be a whole year of therapy.
Easily.
If she went weekly,
Yes.
and she just kind of blows it over like, this is just something I noticed.
Yeah, sorry, I'm dumping my trauma on you who I just met. Like
Exactly.
my whole family history has become your problem. Sorry, shrug.
Exactly. But then we learn, I didn't even know Alexia can relate to Stephanie's hurt with her sisters. She reveals she has a sister who she didn't speak to for 3 years since their mother died. And she loves her sister, but felt judged and criticized. I just want my sister to accept me for who I am. I don't think I even knew about Alexia having a sibling. And I can't remember if in any of the past recent seasons that she's talked about her mom's passing, because I think season 4 was as far as the first iteration of the franchise got before they kind of canceled it or put it on pause for those many years and then came back.
But wasn't it her mom's death that postponed her wedding to Todd?
Oh, I don't remember. Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that.
I think
okay.
her mom died on the wedding day.
Oh, shit.
Which is a pretty gnarly omen, but they went ahead with it later anyway. But even in those episodes, I don't remember hearing anything about her having a sister. Obviously, she was bereft and distraught and could barely hold herself up. But yeah, that was devastating. That 3 years, and she burst into tears. And she said that her mom was the glue that held the family together, and that her sister, she feels, judged and criticized by her, and just took a step back, and suddenly 3 years of no contact. And Alexia's sister did finally reach out when she heard Todd was divorcing her. So I wonder if Todd is part of that equation, if the sister doesn't like Todd. Nobody seems to like Todd. But anyways, Stephanie and Alexia sort of wrap this up by saying they're going to try to do better by each other. And Stephanie takes it a step too far because clearly the girl has never had friends. And she was like, well, we'll be sisters for each other while we're estranged from our own. And I was like, no, not that.
This harkens back, for me at least, to Stephanie calling Alexia her safe space. Like, you've known her for weeks to maybe 2 months.
And
3 months.
all on camera.
Yeah.
You've known her for 10 days of shooting. It's not like you guys are holed up in a cabin getting to know each other in the off hours. You don't know her. She ain't
too
safe.
fast to be called someone, a coworker, a safe space.
And Marisol, for all her bullshit behind the scenes, Stephanie said something last episode, and Marisol was like, oh, no one's your friend here. Don't assume anyone's your ally.
Yeah.
I can't remember what she said, but it was pretty direct.
This isn't I think she said something like, this is not a safe space. This
Yeah.
isn't a
And she
safe
said it
space.
with a laugh of are
Yeah,
you joking?
girl,
do you know what you
yeah.
signed on for? Who do you think you are?
Exactly. Oh. It made me wonder, considering this friend group that you've just ventured into, a safe space, the part of me that's critical of Stephanie makes me just want to go, ugh, you don't have any fucking friends. And if you knew what it took to create authentic, vulnerable friendships, you'd know that it's not, you can't force it, dude. You can't force it, or it feels like she's trying to love bomb almost. It's people pleasing times 10 but she's putting out, like, she's not letting it go with the flow. I don't know.
It's more arrogant than people pleasing. It's just like, I'm labeling it and so it is. It's like,
Yes.
you don't just get to say we're sisters. Like, that's a two-party agreement, and it usually takes a little more than 5 minutes in a mudroom on the resilient lady to come to said conclusion.
Ay, ay,
So
ay.
she's like, I'm a boss. It is so. I'm your sister. It is so. You're a safe space. I said it, so it is. It's like, that's not how life works. That's controlling and manipulative and weird and backwards.
Yeah.
This girl needs therapy.
She
Real
really
bad.
does. She really, really does. Oof, surrogate sisters. And again, that's going to absolve her in her mind. Like, okay, well, Alexia is my sister. I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, she agreed to it in the mudroom. It's on camera. It's like, no, you said a thing, and Alexia looked taken aback, rightly so. And then you guys politely went off on the rest of the day. But like, that's not a truth just because you said so. If I were to say, like, I live in Paris, that is not true just because I said so. I can't
Right.
fly to Paris and expect a flat to be waiting for me there because I said I live there. Like, that's insane. You don't get to do that. So we head to the Scarlet Party, another annoying cruise ship thing. Everybody on the boat's wearing red. I was just like, this seems like a cotillion event, like a nightmare scenario for me.
It's just branding. It harkened back to Bethany Frankel. Every time she had an event, every time she had a meeting, like a board members meeting, she was dressed in red, white, and black. And this scarlet is just the Virgin
so right.
brand's red.
I am the perfect victim for subliminal advertising because I was like, why a red party? Who cares? Obviously, duh.
And then other
So
people in the
smart.
restaurant were just wearing like white and black or red themselves. So it was, maybe they, were like, hey, everyone, it's Scarlet Night when you come downstairs to eat in the whatever restaurant. Just branding. More branding. This is what happens when you're married to a designer.
Yes, right? Yeah. You have an eye for this shit.
Yeah.
Well, and then completely off brand, but starting to be on brand, we see that Lisa has arrived first. She is standing there alone, waiting for everyone. And she so proudly in her confessional confesses that she started some time tracking behaviors where she paid attention to how much time it takes to do her hair and her makeup and pick her outfit and get dressed in the outfit and choose and clean her jewelry. Like, she really got into the details of it. And it takes a really long time. So I can understand why she couldn't imagine it took more than an hour, and it appears to take 3.5 about. But now that she knows exactly how long it takes her, look at her showing up on time and first and planning her get ready time according to the time it requires. I was really celebrating her little win there, and she was so proud of herself. And I think that's how she wound up handling herself so well at that dinner later when Alexia was kind of a turd to her. Because she was like, no, my side of the street is clean. I did a good job today. And,
It was so apparent to me when she told us about her time, like keeping track of her time now. Now she knows. It makes me think that she has been talking about executive functioning with
this
a
is
therapist.
ADD therapy
This is
for
ADD
sure. Yes.
100%.
Yes. It is like the first
Absolutely.
assignment of like,
Yes.
set a clock as you do things to see how much, because I've done that and I've been shocked at how
Yes.
much time things actually take me. And it's so disappointing. But no wonder I'm exhausted at the end of the day because I would need at least 35 hours in a day to do what I think a human body should accomplish in 24. It's nuts.
Absolutely. It is a phenomenon, an ADHD phenomenon called time blindness. And I think I can do a million things in 15 minutes, and I cannot. And so when I'm going out and I need to do my hair and my makeup and my outfit and, grab a special occasion purse and special occasion jewelry, I need to block out 2 hours as well, easily. If I want to really relax and putter around amidst doing that, then 3, absolutely. So I really loved it. I loved it.
I loved how granular she got about picking out the outfit, picking out the jewelry. Those are separate chunks of time, as opposed to where I found myself getting caught is I just get ready and get dressed. It's no, you walk into the closet, you decide you have nothing to wear, then you comb through that all takes time, So it's, I was really pleased to see this get some airtime.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Learning things from Lisa Hochstein. And she's learning things from therapy. Oh my
And
God. Yes.
you see how bright and energized she is by it. Like,
Yes.
that's what I hope
Yeah.
the takeaway is from, like, for people considering therapy. It's like, that's what it can do for you. You do the hard work, you do the tedious bullshit of like, how long does it take me to pick out jewelry? Who fucking cares? But look what happens on the other side when you've done it and you feel good about yourself and like you're on time and it feels like it's something that's possible for you, not just everyone else.
Yes. And it just goes to show someone might guffaw, like, you need 3 hours? Yes, I am neurodivergent, you motherfucker. This world of getting ready in an hour or 15 minutes, whatever, that might work for other people who are neurotypical. I have to work so hard to fit into a neurotypical world. It is exhausting. It's
But even
absolutely
without a
exhausting.
diagnosis, like let it take 3 hours, like it doesn't have to be justified. It's just like, I need 3 hours to get ready,
I'm
period.
just saying, if in
Yeah.
response to someone that's like, oh my God, you're going to start getting ready now? Like, yeah, I am. So that I don't have to be freaked out
And
or be
rushed.
late and be rushed. Right. And ADHD is also a huge component of it is dopamine deficiency. It is chemical. Your body does not create as much. And so you're constantly looking for those dopamine hits. And she experienced a dopamine hit when she said, oh my God, look what happens when you're earlier on time. You get to sit wherever you want. And that really, she felt in her body how good it feels when you get to do something even seemingly small like that. So she'll remember that feeling for next time. Ooh, that felt good. I'm going to do that again.
Yeah. And that's where it like starts building exponentially on itself. Like the first few rounds of this shit is really hard. And then when you start to reap those rewards, like you're saying, you start to pursue them. It's worth it to put the energy into tracking how much time it takes to park the car and feed the meter or valet or like what, like it starts. Then I know to allow an extra 15 minutes. And like, then I don't walk in apologizing.
Yes. Oh, there were so many tidbits in here amidst these like not too deep scenes. It was great. It was great.
I
So
was going to
Guerdy,
ask you what
yes.
you thought of Guerdy's full face covering headpiece.
Again, they're on a cruise that didn't really leave the area of Miami from what we got, the way it was described to us last week. Like, we're just going to be going around Miami. So I don't know. Isn't Miami the world of, you show up head to toe in red leather and no one's going to blink an eye and except for just to look and go, God, where did she get that? I need to go to the store that had that. So, dude, I don't know what. But Guerdy didn't seem to give a shit, and that's all that matters. So wear the headpiece. Wear it. I went to high tea a couple of Christmases ago. I think the last Christmas before COVID. There's a group of friends, Lee and Liz and I will go to high tea at the Neiman Marcus in the city that has a restaurant called the Rotunda. It's a beautiful department store, resplendent of department stores that were in big cities, like back in the day, like old school Bloomingdale's, old school Fifth Avenue department stores in New York. My point is, I have a very aggressive velvet headband that has huge roses on top of it, and it is extra. It was a great opportunity for me to pull it out at Christmas because we get dressed up in cute dresses and whatever, and we go have high tea during the festive holiday season. And so I wore it. And when I walked through the restaurant, I did get some looks, but they were from people wearing shit that was so boring or whatever. Yes, technically dressed up. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and look. Go ahead and look. And a part of me saying it that aggressively is probably like, oh yeah, I am extra in a very non-extra world. And so I have to really be like, okay, I'm going to have to remind myself when I see someone look at me, like, I don't have to be wrong because they're looking. I don't have to be
Well, yeah, and
XYZ because they're looking,
well, and as someone who lives in a very neutral color palette, I'm always surprised when I do. I
I don't
don't
think
wear
so at all.
I'm not like a fashion person, and that's fine. I don't like that's my point. My point is when I see someone walk by with like something extravagant going on, I look because it's like it catches your eye and it's like art. And I'm always taken aback when they look at me like, what? I'm like, hey, you don't get to wear a low cut tank top and be fully illustrated and have me not stare. Because like you have art all over your body. Like don't glare at me. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what I appreciate about Guerdy's attitude of like, she was like, what? This is what I chose to wear and this suits me just fine for a Scarlet party. So you guys can get on
Yeah.
board or have your conversations. I don't care.
She
What's
is a
next?
fashionista. She takes way more risks. Yes, everybody's in very bodycon clothes in very bright colors. Nobody, including Marisol, is a shrinking violet, sartorially speaking, on this show, part of why I love it so much. But even Larsa wears bodycon clothes, but they're still boring bodycon clothes. Guerdy is always the one taking, like her clothes can be editorial, architectural, not just like leading with like cleavage and ass.
There's
And
always a
so,
risk. Even in her 80s
yes,
look, she came in like this seamed bodysuit, full wig, giant earrings.
yeah,
Like
she
nothing
understands
is
the assignment
half-ass.
and she goes to the other side of the spectrum. But
And it's
I
authentic
love
to
it.
her as opposed to
Yes.
Stephanie, who's like, Stephanie might be more like me and do better in jeans and a gray t-shirt, various iterations of that. I wonder. I really have no idea. I hope Stephanie finds herself someday. I'd be so curious to see who she is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Same.
Eh,
Curious. Yeah. Not
within
invested.
reason.
Yeah,
Yeah, not
exactly. Like,
invested.
yeah.
Curious,
Yeah.
not invested.
If she doesn't, I'm not going to be disappointed, is what I'm saying.
True.
Like, I would be disappointed next year if we have more Lisa, and I look forward to see what she's getting from therapy the longer she grows
Yeah.
or the more time she spends in it. Mm-hmm.
Then we enter this moment where Kiki asks everyone when the last time anyone got laid, and Alexia reports that she boned Todd the night before the cruise. And Julia says that, you know, their plan to get Alexia's mind off Todd by taking her to Spain and on a cruise and like doing everything has not kept her busy enough to keep her out of bed.
Also, like the fact that they thought that it would, it just shows like, it's just like, but we did this stuff. We're doing this stuff. Why can't she just do it? Well, I don't know. What if we said, oh, we're going to take you to the most famous goat farm in the United States of America, Julia, you know, to get your mind off what's going on with Vika and Emma. Like, it's not going to work. Idiots. Producers. Also, Ramona, come on. You know how the sausage is made, man. This is not that deep.
It's fine. It got him to Spain, whatever it takes. And then Lisa jokingly says to Alexia, ooh, like it was a booty call from Todd. And Alexia does one of those things where she turns on a goddamn dime and she's like, it's my husband, so it's not the walk of shame. And then like Lisa immediately apologized and just goes like, I'm sorry. I did not mean it like that. I really didn't. And she's like, well, it's from you and I don't take you seriously anyway. So haha, hee hee, who gives a shit? It's you who said it. So I don't really care. And Lisa just absorbed all of it. And meanwhile, I'm sitting at home like reacting to all of it. You know, her being defensive, I would have been like, whoa, why are you coming at me like that? And then her shaking me off like I'm an irrelevant idiot. That would have bothered me too. But Lisa was just like, hey, I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to come off like that. Move it along. And they did. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Lisa Hochstein.
I know. You know how the kids always say the bingo card of it all did not have this on my not even a little bit.
Not
No
so
way.
consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Like every episode, she's just like an exemplary housewife. It's wild.
I don't even think she knows. Think she
doesn't.
knows.
She's just experimenting with it and it's going well for her.
Yeah,
so she keeps
and making
at
her.
it.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much. Oh my
Me
God.
too.
Oh my God. What? See, Margie, I'm capable of change too.
Look at us.
I know. Look at us.
Yeah.
So Marisol reports that she's happy everyone has made up on this trip, and she toasts to everyone with a special shout out to Mighty Mouse, their new addition. And then in her confessional, Stephanie says, Marisol has two faces and has a different story coming out of each one. Ah, goddamn.
And then here we are. They toast Adriana's almost birthday and a cake comes out and there is the frosting equation that, again, I'm just so curious who brought that to the pastry chef. But the equation adds up to 59, which is Adriana's age. And God bless Lisa. She's like, why are we pouring salt on the flame? And the producer has to correct her that it's either rubbing salt in the wound or pouring gas on a fire. But you know what? Whatever. She just giggles and laughs it off.
I do this all the time, and Josh laughs at me, and it is really funny. Like, I'm like, dude, you're on a thin rope. And he's like, it's thin ice. He's like, a thin rope? What is that? And I'm like, well,
A
it could
tightrope?
work, you know? No, like you're hanging by a thin rope or you're
Okay.
hanging by
Thread.
yeah, you're hanging by a thread, but I said a thin rope, but you're walking on a thin rope. Maybe that's what I said. He's like, dude, you're walking on ice, thin ice. And I can't help it. Like I literally make those, I don't get them right. And
Look,
it is
the
funny.
context clues made it make sense, but I did think it was
100%.
funny that the producer was like, what are you saying?
Exactly.
And this is where Adriana says that she does not like her age, but she thought it was nice that they did something for her. And then she proceeds to wipe off the equation that revealed her age. The dancing boys come to the table and then they go to the Scarlet party and dance around. And then Stephanie says nautical Steph is ready to get back to regular Steph. And again, I was like, I see no difference. Who are you?
Nautical Steph means you're a sea, and regular Steph means you're a land. Okay, whatever. She doesn't see where she is. It's fine. It's fine. I can't expect everyone to know who
She's
they are.
almost 40, dude. It's hard to watch like a middle-aged woman grasping for identity. It's kind of tough, but
Just to go back a few beats to Adriana hating her age but appreciating the gesture, I can absolutely see me going off the rails into a major shame spiral and not. Okay, so what I saw Adriana do, she made a choice. She made a choice to not just like delve into a pit of shame. This was a big ass dig. If she was going to get pissed off or storm off from this dinner, this would have been on paper a very valid reason to do so and real cruel behavior on her castmate's part.
yeah, righteous indignation. That is
Right?
the death of my ass.
So she made a definitive choice. Whether we saw it on camera, she made a definitive choice. And I was like, holy shit, could I do that? Could I do the same? To not just get super offended, go into a shame spiral over the fact that they made that fucked up equation, 32 plus 32 minus 5. Like, that's so fucking rude. That's so diabolical, as you said. But instead, she just was like, I appreciate the gesture. She made a choice. Nope, I'm not going to do this. Jesus, fucking poetic.
It is. And it almost like I appreciated it because it brought into focus for me how much more attention you bring to the thing you're trying to take attention from when you have a big dramatic reaction. Her just wiping the equation off the cake and going like, thank you. The editors obviously didn't fixate on it because I was just like, who wrote the equation? Who spent the time to figure that out and take it back to the kitchen and tell them to draw it on a cake? Rude. But she was just like, whatever, fuck off, guys. Let's go dance around. Who cares?
It was incredible.
Yep.
It was a master class in how to how to give yourself the gift of having enough space. You make enough room in your thinking. Like, okay, I'm having a strong reaction to this. Oh shit, I'm about to go to shame. What's it trying to tell me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's trying to tell me that they're laughing at me. My worst fear is coming true. What if they're not? Or maybe they are. What am I going to do? I'm at work. It's going to be dramatic. And I'm going to be the center of attention. If I do this, I'm not going to do it. Whew. Bravery.
Well, and there's like a lovely shortcut I've learned in Al-Anon, which is just to ask yourself, how important is it? And in that moment, how important is it? In that moment, how important is it to be like, who did this? Who wrote this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not. In that moment, it's not important. Maybe down the line, it'd be good to know who was willing to fuck you over on TV to such an extreme when you told everyone that it is actually the number that's the problem this year. But in that moment, how important is it? Not. It's just not. It's the last night of the cruise. Move it along.
Totally. So then we fast forward to when they're back on dry land in their regular day-to-day lives. We have a little montage here. Julia has Jackson help her diaper a goat. Lisa's son is getting his hair cut, and her daughter is playing with the trimmings on the floor, which Lisa calls gross. But I'm like, I don't know if it's gross. Like, maybe being on the floor is gross, but I assume that it's a very clean floor. You know, I can't imagine that Lisa doesn't have regular housekeeping coming and sweeping the floor. And it's annoying. Like, I personally wouldn't want to get hair all over me and have it
That's the
tracked around
thing.
the
It's
house.
it's like glitter, like hair trimmings. Like, it's very hard to like get off your clothes and face. So anyways, But her daughter doesn't know that. She's a kid. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
She's just
Exactly.
like,
Gross
look,
doesn't
this is
mean
fun.
anything.
No.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
And oh my God, I'm so obsessed with Kiki's daughter. So
I
Kiki's driving
know.
in her car and her son won't answer her call. And her tiny daughter in the back seat goes like, Shamar is kissing a girl. And Kiki goes, how do you know that? And she just smirks. This like little 4-year-old, 5-year-old baby in the back seat is like, ooh, it was so cute.
I remember before I had Leo, I was probably pregnant, and my sister would always tell me, like, little kids are so funny. And you're like, how are little kids so funny? This is why. They say things that are hilarious.
And with total authority, as if like she's in Shamar's like social circuit and knows this to be a fact. It's so cute.
And Kiki was so charmed by what she said. And it just made me think of all the conversations that I still have with Leo, where I just am like, tell me more about this. Like, you don't want to say that was so funny. You just want, like, keep going. I need to, like, open the vault. What else are you going to say right now that's going to crack me up? It was adorable, dude. Love
So
that
cute.
scene. Loved it.
And then we hit our meat and potatoes. We have Russell driving Guerdy to individual therapy. And God, I just love the two of them.
Me too.
And she gives him a big kiss in the car goodbye. And you can tell that she's like nervous. It's like a little kid being dropped off at their first day of school because it's a big step. And Guerdy says she's ready to address her issues. And she tells the therapist, I should have done this long ago, but it's never too late, right? And I love this therapist. She's like, so what brings you in? Just gently opening the invitation. And Guerdy goes straight at it. And this is how I approach therapy too. Like I go in being like, here's what's the matter. And I'm at a total loss. Help. And Guerdy says it's suppressed emotions from her childhood trauma disrupting her current adult life. And she's just survived cancer. And that has not brought relief in the way that one might expect. And Russell has been pointing out to her where her reactions, that they might be coming from something deeper than actual current circumstances. And I loved the therapist's next question asking about her sleeping and eating patterns. And I love Guerdy for being like, I can eat, no problem. And then sleeping, she takes a real roundabout route. And it seems to answer more of a self-esteem question of like, I have been affected by cancer and I have overcome it, go girl, boss bitch, whatever. But the truth is I wake up alone in this body every morning and I don't like it and I don't trust it. And, you know, the she's in remission, but like her recovery is only just beginning. She beat it and now she's alone. Because it's true. Like when someone beats cancer, most people around them go like, yay, it's over. But the person who had it is looking at scars and adjusted body and that terror at all times of like, that happened without my knowing it. Is it going on right now? Like, what the fuck is going on now? I didn't see that shit coming and it almost killed me. Like, how do you move through a day? Like, of course she's traumatized.
How do you go to any doctor's appointment without that experience? You know, you go to the doctor, and it's fine. One day you go to the doctor and it is a literal life or death prognosis. How do you go to the doctor after that and not have that? I don't even know if any amount of therapy, tapping, EMDR, psychedelics, I don't know how any of that could penetrate it. I don't know. Just like Jesse in Summer House, he's in remission. They find a lump and then they have to wait. And they know the worst case scenario that could come out of that. It's 50-50. And he's lived through, and Guerdy has lived through what it's like to get the worst of the 50%. You know?
And you are like, Jesse, you know, is a problematic individual who's hopefully on his way to growing up over the next 10 years or so. But that scene, it was like days before his 5-year appointment where you get kind of an all clear breath of fresh air. And he found a fucking lump. And I just remember, you know, those cameras in the rooms capture him crying on West's shoulder. Because, like, how could you not? The last time you found a lump, it led to you being hospitalized and on the verge of death. And here you are on the eve of the 5-year mark where everything feels like it can open up for you again. And unfortunately, in Jesse's case, if people didn't watch, it was not anything of interest. But like the terror I would never not feel a lump, I'm sure. I would be one big phantom lump without the help of therapy, at least.
Yeah. So the therapist asks Guerdy for her earliest memories and what about it? What about those memories are traumatic for her? Guerdy explains that she was brought to the United States at the age of 9, left by her parents with strangers, even though they were family members. And she was told to just be quiet and you get what you get. And she spent 3 months inside as she and her brothers waited for papers that would allow them to attend school. And it felt like a prison. I was like, what did we do wrong?
And she was sobbing when she said that.
Yes. So several things. A, this is exemplary of that thing where the adults, like, they knew because they're grown-ups and they have the ability to reason. They knew this is going to be the best for Guerdy and her brother. But when you don't explain it, when you don't know how to explain that as an adult to a child, because the child, and I'm speaking from my experience and from therapists telling me about this is what happened, because a child can't, for a child to think that the adult in your life who is the sole one responsible for you because you cannot take care of yourself, if the adult is doing something that is making you feel that scared and that bad, that must mean that you're the one that's causing this. That's the only way the logic works. There is no reasoning in a child that's like, okay, well, we're in a real hard situation in Haiti, so that's why my parents are doing this. That's why they're sending me here. You don't reason like that. You're like, I must be bad, and that's why I'm here. And that is just, it takes years to untangle. And not that the biggest traumatic chunk can't get, once you start talking about it, that's a freedom in itself. That's an unburdening in itself that causes relief and a palpable shift in how bad you can feel. But I'm still unraveling it. It just reveals new things. It doesn't feel as bad as it did when I first started unraveling family trauma. I don't know that it ever, quote unquote, goes away. It's just a reframing, and it's taken me years. Yeah, it was really, really brave of her. So this is where her therapist tells her to take 2 deep breaths. It's to have you drop back into your body. This is where the pillow behind Guerdy came up. So the pillow says, way to ground yourself. I don't remember all 5 of them right now, but one of them was like putting your hand on your heart or your belly and then taking the deep breaths. My therapist, still to this day, will tell me, go take a hot shower or a cold shower. Go grab a cold can of fizzy water from your refrigerator. Hold it up to your neck. Just something that will shock you back into your body and out of your brain when you're in that loop of trauma or bad feelings, just to like bring you back to yourself. And it is so simple, but it literally calms down your amygdala, and there's another nerve center in your brain that starts with a V that I can't remember the name of, but it
Vegas?
Yes, it's that one. And so it is a physiological way to bring yourself back into your body. So we saw it all, dude. This, like Stefan said, this episode had everything.
Yeah. The breathing part was interesting. When I first went to therapy, I would talk about things at such a rapid pace. My therapist would literally interrupt me and say, hey, breathe. And then I would go like, anyways, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, breathe. Like nobody taught me how to breathe. Nobody taught me to wash my face before I went to bed. I was raised by parents who did the very best they could with what they had. And I actually, like I said, I actually mean that and believe that now. But there were so many things that like therapy was a whole education for me. Like I didn't know what a deep breath was. That seemed indulgent. Who has time for that shit? There's like too much to do, too much to get through. We're on task here. It didn't occur to me that part of the task includes deep breaths and like breathing. And anyways, I really appreciated that moment.
Also, like, why is a deep breath going to bring, like, what is that going to do? That's not a big deal. How can that possibly help? Well,
it's indulgent. It's for hippies, the way we were raised. It's like, keep going. Have you achieved everything that you want to achieve yet? Do you look great yet? Well, then you don't have time for a deep breath. You can take one of those when you're dead.
Capitalism.
All right?
Yep.
then we get into Guerdy's experience at school. So she waited inside for 3 months with strangers, being told to be quiet and eat whatever she's given and shut up about it. Finally, she gets to go to school, and there she doesn't speak English yet. She said the icebreaker was making fun of my name. So she just sort of adapted to that, which is some bullshit. And the therapist asks her how she sees those traumas showing up in her current day life. And Guerdy says in her friend group, essentially, she feels othered and abandoned. And thank God we get the flashback to Julia losing her shit and throwing water on her. And you see Guerdy go dead inside. And then, obviously, as we've seen through the season, we also saw her break down in hysterical tears with Russell. And we've seen her try to forgive Julia, but like feel incomplete about that. And then the therapist says that Guerdy has chosen that name and used that brand to bury this little girl who was hurt so long ago. But it appears that time is seeing that these two are ready to converge again, because the circumstances in Guerdy's adult life are bringing up these unhealed things from her childhood. And so that leads Guerdy to say, I'm scared of how much resentment I might be holding because it will hurt my parents. And that's where she says her son is 11 years old, 2 years younger than when Guerdy got abandoned, and she cannot imagine leaving him somewhere. And her therapist says, when you come back, we'll get you down that road. And I thought that was so sweet. What a lovely way to invite her back. So
Changing the name as a coping skill, I've shared on this podcast before. I went by Mona for a while, consciously, because it felt like it was an Anglification of my name. That would help me avoid getting teased for my real name, because it happened. Coping skill after coping skill that you don't even know that you're not conscious that it's a coping skill when you're a child making these things. You're doing it out of safety. This is going to bring me safety. I can control this.
And it did then.
It did.
It did. Because, yeah, at least it wasn't the name all those kids bullied her for. She found a new name
On
and a
her
way
terms.
to make it a brand, Gerdify it and whatever. So, yeah. But it's not doing what it once did. The high that used to give her, the escape that provided, hit its limit. And so here she is in therapy, and I'm so excited for it.
I know, me too. Me too. I loved it. I loved it. Oh, boy. So we go from that to the other end, to the opposite end of the spectrum. Alexia and Frankie go to dinner at Marisol and Steve's house. And Frankie calls Marisol out for being too much, too drunk. And she claims she hasn't had a drink yet. Frankie clocked Marisol's drunk behavior.
And whether or not she'd had a drink
out.
yet, yes. The fact is he'd been around her enough times when she had been too drunk that he was like, ooh, I recognize this and I don't like it. Dial it back. And I was really bothered. This is just old, eating disorder bullshit. So Marisol has invited people over for dinner and serves a big spread of food and doesn't put a thing on her plate. She claims she ate a bunch of vegan cheese before they got there. And I don't know. I'm sure it's the eating disorder in me, but like just put something on your plate, because it's weirdly, then it feels like I'm in a zoo and you're watching me like go to town on a trough. It's like, just participate in pushing shit around on your plate at least. I just thought that was such a weird power move of like, I already ate, so I'm just going to watch you guys.
It was wild. Like, I know she's a vegan, because here's the thought process that I went through. Because also history of eating disorders and disordered eating.
Paying way too much attention to like what people are putting or not putting on our plate or in their bodies.
Exactly.
Like, I shouldn't care.
And I always watch what the housewives are eating and how they're eating it. Are they pushing it around the plate? So even if she did have food on her plate, I might have also watched, was she just pushing it out around, or was she actually eating? So I thought, okay, maybe Steve made sauce, which, by the way, looked freaking delicious. I was like, oh my God, I want that delicious, yummy sauce, creamy red sauce on some big old fat pieces of, I don't know, rigatoni. I'm not sure what who cares? No one called for a pasta type. My point is, so I thought, okay, maybe she's not eating a non-vegan sauce. And Alexia's like, you don't even want salad? And she's all, no. And oh, God. Yeah, dude.
And it's a power move, because you've invited people to your home. you can have a vegan option if the cream sauce is not vegan. Like, it's just a really weird thing to do to like, and then basically she just put Alexia on blast and was like, so Frankie, who's sitting right next to you, have you told him about you and Todd being back together? And Alexia obviously looks shaken. And she's like, well, we're trying to, slowly introduce this back to the boys. No, I haven't really talked to them about it. And she tries to make it seem like the boys are fine with it, but it doesn't appear that they really understand what's going on at all. And again, let's remember that Frankie was the one who was traumatized by Todd moving out in front of him, moving out all of his belongings, and this poor kid just was standing there. And then Marisol claims that she's concerned and that Steve is also having whiplash from the experience of seeing Todd be so rude to Alexia, and now she wants them to be excited about their reunion. But again, maybe I'm just like, maybe I have a lens on this from the beginning of the episode where I'm like, is Marisol a devious behind the scenes monster? And this sure seemed devious, to invite people over to dinner, not put a piece of food on your plate of any sort, and then call out your friend for dating the man who just traumatized mere months ago the boy sitting at the table beside her. It seems pretty vile.
Pobrecito Frankie. Every time I think about it, I'm just like, oh, pobrecito. Yeah, I wonder, is this producers? Is this Marisol? Is this Marisol and producers? But yeah, you're absolutely right. And also, here is an episode this season in which we can compare, again, Marisol to Sutton. Because I don't know if you saw the big gallon jug of the ruby red ocean spray that made an appearance. Yes.
Hilarious.
So tonight was ocean spray being mixed with vodka, because I think we saw a Kettle One too. And again, because I qualify for Al-Anon, I am paying attention to other people's drinking. I thought of Sutton, who is our, taking her inventory, but she's the alcoholic on Beverly Hills, Ruby Red. Marisol, taking her inventory, she's the alcoholic on the Real Housewives of Miami. What are her drinking patterns? Ruby Red. It made me laugh.
Yeah. I stand by, though, like, the difference is Marisol's personality doesn't change when
100%. Yes.
She's kind of a dick either way, but Sutton becomes something very dark and terrifying. Speaking of becoming someone you're not, we next stop in with Stephanie, who is cosplaying as Boss as she's prepping with her team for the Christmas party.
Good Lord.
Then she's invited Adriana to sing at the event because she claims that she's a woman who supports other women and blah, blah, blah. And then Stephanie and Adriana sit down to have a drink, and Adriana starts talking about how she's sponsoring some international artist at Art Basel. And Stephanie, I thought this was nice, noticed how much Adriana lights up when she talks about this and how happy she seems talking about art, and that she hadn't seen that sign of her in a while because she's been sad and down, certainly on the cruise. And I relate very much to Adriana's explanation here, where she says she's sensitive. And so all the fighting and discord going on around her, probably in addition to her upcoming birthday, put her in an upset headspace and shut her down quite a bit. But I did note, obviously, in all caps, like, Adriana declares herself sensitive and Stephanie doesn't say a word. And meanwhile, we're to believe that's the reason she doesn't talk to her sisters. I found that just curious.
And Adriana noted that she's a sensitive artist type.
Mm-hmm.
Name one creative who isn't sensitive. Again, as the young people say, I'll wait. Because guess what? As much as sensitive and over-emotional people get vilified or are the butts of jokes, you going to get a song that makes me cry without being sensitive, a musician being sensitive who wrote it, a book that's going to take you on a ride. You're going to get that book without being sensitive, someone sensitive writing it? No. Art that changes you body, mind, soul comes from a sensitive fucking person, right? For the most part, don't you think?
I definitely think so. That's why I think it takes a lot more courage than people give credit for to be an artist.
I
agree.
agree.
You have to lean into that side of you, and you have to capitalize on that side of you, and it's really, really challenging. So yeah.
Yes, and it is because the ones that really move us and change us make it look so easy. Just like, you watch the Olympics and you're like, God, they make it look so easy because their whole body, mind, soul is that. That's it. So someone watches James Gandolfini acting on The Sopranos, and he made it look easy. So you believed if you saw James Gandolfini on the street, you would just be like, that's Tony Soprano, not a man playing Tony Soprano. Because he make it look easy. Sensitive, emotional people do that. It's an asset, God damn it. I will not let people talk negatively about sensitive people. Stephanie, I'm done. End rant. End rant.
Yeah, but it was just so weird that she blew by it here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Anyway, Stephanie tells Adriana, here we go again, that Alexia told her that Marisol is upset because Stephanie and Adriana had lunch. And Adriana echoes that is a very high school, very immature response. And basically, the takeaway here is that Marisol is behind all of the gossip, that Alexia has acknowledged she is Marisol's mouthpiece. We get a big flashback sequence showing all of these rumors that had been started that Alexia acknowledges were all sourced from Marisol. And Marisol didn't say a one of them out loud on camera or off camera to anyone, but deployed Alexia to do her bidding. And Adriana reminds Stephanie that Marisol used to run a PR company and knows how to manipulate people and information. And that is where, to me, the episode should have ended. But it ended on Stephanie bringing up her stupid plane again, saying, how mad are you that you didn't go on the plane to Marbella when I had given her the seat next to me? I was like, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares, nobody cares. Please shut up. And she goes, I have a message for her. If you're going to come for me, you better hit a bullseye because when it's my turn, I don't miss. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And if this is private jet related, I don't care what you're talking about. But I think the takeaway is that Marisol is kind of a dirty bird behind the scenes. So that's all I got.
When Stephanie made that concise little threat at the end, it just reminded me of Heather talking to Shannon. If you ever come for my family again, blah, 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 blah. Like, how many times did the two of them practice what they probably perceive are going to be mic drops? How many times did they practice that in front of the mirror? Come on.
And it's also same as Heather. It's all money based. It's like you have enough money to ruin people's lives. And if you're going to do that over rejecting a seating assignment on a private jet, then like, okay, if that's how you want to spend your life, I would suggest there's other things the world could use your time and money for, but go ahead. I just don't care. I wish I cared more about what Stephanie was threatening, but I literally didn't even care to look into it. So whatevs.
Yep.
What else did you watch this week?
I watched Orange County, obviously. It's such a frustrating season to watch. I'm not even getting good walk-in closets or good outfits to kind of counterbalance the just toxicity of it all. I watched more of The Gilded Age. We just finished season 1. Holy shit. Talk about housewives.
That's
Damn.
what I've heard. Yeah, that it's sort of like in that template.
It's elevated soap opera. Everything that was great about Downton. God, it was fascinating. And there's an intersection because, again, they talk about the Morgans, and the Morgans were considered new money in the Gilded Age, right?
Hilarious.
Exactly. And then I have been comfort watching season 7 of RHONY. Season 7 of RHONY, Real Housewives of New York, is what gave us such, so many quotables. This is the be cool, don't be all like uncool. This is the Luann saying, not really. And this is where Sonia says she partied with John and Madonna, Smokey Eye, Updo, Stad, completely unhinged, coping skills informed Bethany. It is an excellent season to watch. And I'm on the reunion now. I just had no idea how good it was going to feel to go back. And again, it made me sad because even though it was episode 7 of RHONY, it was still when it wasn't as produced as it is now. Everyone's so self-aware. Everyone's just like Instagram followers and social media and all of this stuff. And I ache and yearn for the times that listen, we obviously still get a lot of real situations, but it's just more produced now. And I don't like that, but that's okay. Because I can go back and watch old episodes of all these franchises. But yes, that's what I watched. How about you, friend?
I didn't really watch much. I've watched a lot of college football, but I did watch the Charlie Sheen documentary. And holy shit,
Oh.
if you want a real look inside addiction and how it affects the family and friends around them, the documentary is so well done. I can't even believe it. The music is incredible. The people that they interviewed are amazing. The way it's edited together, it's a phenomenal watch and disturbing and uplifting and like all of the things. But you really get to see, as they say in the big book, an alcoholic in his cups is an unlovely creature. And Charlie Sheen is one of those addicts who, and he admits it, like just cannot be killed. The amount of drugs he's consumed would have killed people, normal people, a billion times over. But this is where I have to believe that we're here with time frames and purposes, because it doesn't make any sense that someone who consumed crack cocaine for months at a time is upright, and other people who treated their bodies like temples are, no longer. It's just wild. But it's really well done, and I highly recommend it if you can stomach such subject matter. So that was sort of all I watched. Because it's 2 parts. It's long as hell.
I'm very curious to watch it. Netflix, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's Netflix, yeah.
Yes. And he, from what I've been reading in the blogs or on Reddit, he's really going there. Like he's not leaving
Completely
any
open.
stone unturned.
And that's what I love about it, because it reminds me of 12-step meetings where, and you see him, he's asked some pretty personal questions and he answers them completely honestly. And the producer off camera asks, like, do you feel ashamed? And he's like, no, I feel free. It's the opposite of shame. I'm telling you exactly what happened. I used to pay people off to hide this part of myself. And now I just talk about it fucking freely. Fuck you if you hate me. I'm free. I was like, oh my God, what a great example of like the torture of keeping secrets and the utter freedom of telling the truth. And yes, you lose people, some people in your life, but the ones who love you, the people who are interviewed in this, his dad is not interviewed, but there are people who just love him so purely that in spite of addiction, obviously they take space when he's active. And because all roads lead to Bravo, Denise Richards comes off like a goddamn gem. She tells the story of making sandwiches for hookers because what's she going to do? Feed Charlie and not them? I was like, that's humanity. Like that is what eventually healed this guy, is that people continued to show up within reason and express love in a humane way with boundaries. And I don't know. I thought it's such an incredible raw look at addiction and, as they say in Al-Anon, the family disease of addiction.
Dude.
Because you see his children interviewed, and it's fascinating. Anyways, I'll stop talking about it. Well worth a watch if you can stomach that subject matter.
I can't wait. Well, I can wait, but I'm curious. Yes.
And what was your antidepressant this week?
Well, I continued resuming my regularly scheduled grooming. I got my hair colored. I got some fresh highlights and post-surgery grooming. And I went to this really interesting thing yesterday. I don't even know how to describe it. I went into this beautiful room with one of my dear friends and, 25 other people. And we sat in these circles in this really comfortable, sumptuous room. The lights went down and these Titanic-sized speakers played various Sade songs at a very loud level, but the speakers and the sound system was so good that even though I was right next to a speaker, it wasn't bad. Like when you go to a live concert and you're pretty close to the 50-foot amp, it's gonna harm you after the fact. Your ears are gonna ring for a few days.
True.
It wasn't like that. It was such an immersive experience. Like I can only compare it to a sound bath, but you were comfortable, and it was incredible. And I can't wait to go to another one. I can't wait.
Bathed in Sade.
Yeah,
what could be better?
Bathed in Sade. Took the
It's the
ferry into the
best.
city to do it, and it was really just a lovely afternoon. Yeah, lovely. Yes.
Love that.
How about you, friend?
My antidepressant this week was I got some phone time with family this week, which was really nice. I haven't seen them in so long, but I'm going to get to see all of them in December and I can't wait. But I got a random call from my aunt who I don't know what is going on with me, but I'm feeling this like urgency to tell people like how much they mean to me and how much I love them. I guess because everyone's getting old and that's happening. And I just want to make sure I've said it if I have the opportunity. And she had called the wrong number and I answered because I saw it was her. And I was just so excited to tell her, like, she's the one who I stayed with when I first graduated college. I lived with her for 3 months out of college while I saved money to get my own place in New York City. And I just got to tell her like how much I loved her and how much I learned living with her and how much I appreciated how much she trusted me in her space. And then she was confiding in me about like, she was telling me, she felt some urgency to tell me. She's like, your 50s and 60s are your best decades. So I'm on the precipice of launching into those. And she was like, you try too hard in your 20s and 30s, you work too hard in your 40s. And she's like, I wish someone had told me. I thought I was too old in my 50s and 60s. And what I didn't realize is those are the coasting years. So she was like, Margie, when your time comes to enter those decades, like, luxuriate in that shit. Cause she was saying getting old is daunting. She's like, I'm actually old now, and this is a different thing. And all the things that I got so busy worrying about then are actual now. So, like, I kind of spent a lot of those years where I was energized and healthy and all the things, anticipating what is now. So, I just appreciated that too. I was like, thank you for that fucking perspective. And in light of Adriana celebrating her birthday and having feelings about it, my aunt would tell her she's still got like 11 solid years of coasting ahead of her. So, and then I got to talk to my niece a bunch, who I just love. Like, she always energizes me. I'm so proud of her. She's like, growing up is so hard. Being in your 20s is just a relentless, one new relentless experience after the next, positive and negative. And it's just like so much to take in. And I'm just so proud of her and her brothers and how they're growing up and taking care of each other and taking care of themselves. Anyways, I love my family. I haven't seen them in a long time, but I got to talk to them a bunch this week, and that was great.
That's always so nice.
It is.
And I thought of one more antidepressant that I meant to write down so I wouldn't forget it. And it's like a sleeper antidepressant. It was uncomfortable, but I was just so grateful for the revelation to reveal itself. Okay, so full disclosure, I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to work with a psychedelic medicine that I absolutely love that has brought so much accelerated healing. And part of that healing is that I was able this week to come to a solution. A situation has been really weighing heavy on my mind. And I wasn't sure I was ever going to feel hopeful about this situation. I really didn't. And I did not just take psychedelics without doing a shit ton of work behind it. That when I incorporated another tool, another mental health tool, the psychedelics, into my therapy work, it just kind of turbocharges these revelations I've been having and these perspective shifts. So I had a perspective shift that felt natural and authentic, and it made me feel hope about this situation. And it showed me, like, you are capable of change, Ramona, and it's going to be excruciating. And you might cry while this unfolding is revealing itself to you. And part of those tears come from fear, vulnerability, all okay, and also hope and relief. Wow, I can get a perspective shift on this even? So I meant to talk about that as like the big one, but I forgot. So thank you for letting me add it.
I love that.
Uncomfortable, but still an antidepressant.
100%. It's what we're seeing Guerdy take on in this episode.
Exactly.
You're ready. There's something pretty profound about that level of like resolve and willingness. It's pretty great. And you can't force it. It's
Nope.
like it comes for you when you're ready for it.
And I have to also acknowledge that this did not happen in a passive way. I was willing and open to see something like, okay, I don't want it to be like this. What can be done? And I was open to it. So I need to acknowledge that too. I played a part in this
Yay.
perspective shift. Oh God, I love it. Dopamine hit. Oh, everyone. That brings us to the end of another episode of A Therapeutic Dose. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope in this crazy timeline we're in that we were able to offer some respite, relief, harbor, refuge, humor, distraction, whatever. I encourage you to take good care of yourselves this week. Remember that pillow. All you need to do to recalibrate and bring yourself back to yourself, hand on heart, hand on belly, 5 deep breaths. Take a can of cold something, put it somewhere on your bare skin. Little things like that. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. That's enough. That's what I meant to say. That's enough. Margie, anything else to add before we sign off in
I think
earnest?
that covers it. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. And we will talk next week.
Yes, we'll talk next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.